Check your quarters. Some Washington quarters are worth hundreds or even thousands because of rare dates and mint errors. Don't spend that 25-cent coin before checking. It could be a hidden treasure. The 1990 Washington quarter might look like just another coin from your pocket change. But what if I told you that one simple error can turn this everyday coin into a life-changing treasure worth tens of thousands of dollars? That's right, this little quarter, a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about, has versions with minting mistakes so rare that collectors are willing to pay between $54,000 and $130,000 for the right example. Just think about that. A coin you could have spent on a gumball machine, a coin that many people tossed into a jar without a second glance, could today be worth more than a luxury car or even a down payment on a dream home. This is what makes the world of rare error coins so fascinating. The hidden treasures that hide in plain sight, just waiting for someone with the right eye to notice them. Now, the Washington quarter has been a staple in American currency since 1932, featuring the iconic profile of George Washington on the obverse and, in 1990, the traditional eagle design on the reverse. By that time, the quarter had already transitioned to a copper-nickel-clad composition, meaning it was no longer struck in silver as earlier coins were. Millions of these 1990 quarters rolled off the presses of the Philadelphia and Denver mints, making them seem like some of the least rare coins out there. But here's where it gets interesting. Not all of them came out the way they were supposed to. In 1990, errors such as off-center strikes, double dies, and missing mint marks created a class of coins that now stand as some of the most desirable pieces for collectors. Imagine holding a quarter where Washington's portrait appears doubled, his features slightly shifted as though the coin had been struck twice. Or a coin with an off-center strike, where part of the design is cut off entirely, leaving a crescent of blank metal exposed. These are not factory-perfect coins, they're accidents, mistakes that slipped through the strict quality control of the U.S. Mint. But it's those very flaws that transformed them from pocket change into valuable rarities. One of the most sought-after errors on the 1990 Washington quarter is the off-center strike. These are dramatic errors that can instantly grab a collector's attention, especially if the misalignment is significant yet the date is still visible. The more pronounced the off-center strike, the rarer and more valuable the coin becomes. Then there are double die errors, where elements of the design such as the motto, "In God We Trust," or Washington's profile appear doubled. These coins can fetch astonishing sums, as their rarity and visual appeal make them standout pieces in any collection. And let's not forget missing mint mark varieties, coins that were struck without the little P or D mark, signaling where they were minted. Such coins are incredibly rare and can command premium prices at auction. What makes the story of the 1990 Washington quarter even more thrilling is how these coins often go unnoticed. Countless people have likely had one in their pocket, used it in a vending machine, or handed it over at a gas station without ever realizing the value it held. And yet, collectors who recognize these errors and know their worth have sold them for staggering amounts. To put it into perspective, a rare error 1990 quarter can sell anywhere from $54,000 to as much as $130,000, depending on the condition and the type of error. That's an amount of money that could pay off debts, buy a new vehicle, or even cover years of college tuition. All from a single coin most people overlook. The magic of coins like this lies in their ability to turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Every time someone finds one of these error coins, it's like unearthing buried treasure. Think about it. Most people carry change without ever really looking closely at it. But a few extra seconds of observation, checking the mint mark, studying the design for doubling or misalignments, can make all the difference. Collectors know this, which is why they're constantly scanning coin rolls, jars of change, and inherited collections for hidden gems like the 1990 Washington quarter error. Stories from auction houses and private sales continue to feed the excitement. There have been documented cases where individuals found a rare quarter tucked away in an old collection or mixed in with other spare change, only to later discover its true worth. Some sold their finds for tens of thousands of dollars, while others held out for top-dollar prices, cashing in closer to the $130,000 mark. These stories inspire everyday people to start paying attention, to start hunting for treasures in the most ordinary places. The 1990 Washington quarter also represents a fascinating piece of American minting history. It reminds us that even in modern times, when minting processes are far more advanced than they were a century ago, errors still happen. And when they do, those errors create opportunities for collectors and everyday people alike. This is why coin hunting has become such an exciting hobby, because anyone, anywhere, can make a discovery that changes their financial situation overnight. So next time you get quarters in your change, take a moment to look closely. Check for doubling in the inscriptions, examine whether the strike is off-center, and pay close attention to whether a mint mark might be missing. Because the difference between an ordinary 25 cents and a life-changing coin could be just one of those rare errors. And if you happen to find one, remember, collectors are willing to pay staggering sums for these coins. Sums that range from $54,000 all the way to $130,000. That it's not just about the money, though. For many, owning a coin like the 1990-era quarter is about holding a piece of history, a tangible reminder that even mistakes can become treasures. These coins capture the imagination because they represent something unique, something that slipped past the rigid precision of the minting process to become a true rarity. They're pieces of art, pieces of history, and pieces of fortune all rolled into one small disc of metal. So the next time you empty your pockets at the end of the day, take a good look at those quarters. Because hidden among them might be a 1990 Washington quarter with an error, your ticket to a life-changing discovery. One coin, one tiny mistake, and suddenly you're looking at something that could be worth between $54,000 and $130,000. That's the thrill. That's the chase. And that's why stories like this keep collectors searching and dreamers hoping. Imagine holding a coin in your hand, something as ordinary as a $quarter from 1994, and realizing that what you thought was just 25 cents could actually be worth a staggering fortune. That's the magic of coin collecting, the hidden treasures of numismatics that most people overlook in their daily lives. Among the countless quarters minted by the U.S. Mint in 1994, a small handful left the presses with mistakes so rare, so incredible, that today they can command jaw-dropping prices at auction. We're not talking about a few $100s or even a few thousand. Some of these 1994 Washington quarter error coins have sold for as much as $50,000 to $125,500. That's the kind of life-changing discovery hiding in plain sight, and it might be sitting in your pocket, in a coin jar, or in a forgotten roll of quarters right now. The Washington quarter has a long history, first minted in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. By the 1990s, it was a staple of American coinage, something every American handled on a daily basis. The obverse proudly bore the profile of the nation's first president, and the reverse featured the eagle, wings spread wide. But even with all the mint's modern technology and quality control, mistakes still slipped through. The 1994 quarter became notorious for a range of striking errors that turned ordinary coins into extraordinary prizes. One of the most famous types of errors collectors hunt for in the 1994 quarter series is the off-center strike. This happens when the blank planchet isn't seated properly in the coin press and the design is struck unevenly, leaving a portion of the coin blank. The more dramatic the off-center strike, the higher the value, especially if it still shows the date and mint mark clearly. Imagine a quarter where Washington's portrait is pushed to the side, leaving a crescent-shaped blank space on the edge. To a casual spender, it looks like a defective coin, but to a collector, it could be worth thousands. Another remarkable error is the double die variety. This occurs when the coin is struck with a die that wasn't properly aligned, causing parts of the design to appear doubled. On a 1994 Washington quarter, that doubling could appear in Washington's motto, "In God We Trust," in the word liberty, or in the details of the eagle on the reverse. Spotting one of these requires careful inspection, but once found, it transforms a 25-cent coin into a highly desirable collectible worth thousands, sometimes tens of thousands depending on condition. There are also examples of broad strikes, coins that were struck without the collar that normally holds the blank in place. The result is a coin that looks stretched or warped, wider than normal but still carrying the full design. These dramatic errors are instantly recognizable, and when a 1994 quarter shows this kind of mistake, collectors line up to add it to their collections. But the king of the 1994 Washington quarter errors, the ones that really capture collectors' imaginations and drive prices through the roof, are the wrong planchet errors. These happen when a coin is struck on a blank intended for another denomination. Imagine a quarter struck on a nickel planchet, a dime planchet, or even a foreign coin blank. These bizarre creations are the product of rare mishaps at the mint, and they become treasures the moment they're discovered. A 1994 quarter struck on the wrong planchet is so unusual, so rare, that values have skyrocketed, with some examples fetching between $50,000 and $125,500 at major auctions. To think that something as small as a mix-up at the mint could turn a quarter into a six-figure prize is almost unbelievable, yet it's happened. Condition plays a massive role in determining the value of these errors. A circulated error coin with scratches, wear, and tarnish might still bring in thousands of dollars. But when a pristine, mint-state example surfaces, that's when the fireworks begin. Collectors and investors alike recognize that these coins are one-of-a-kind or close to it, and they're willing to pay whatever it takes to secure them. In fact, when a high-grade 1994 quarter error crosses the auction block, it isn't uncommon for bidding wars to erupt, pushing the final price into six-figure territory. What makes this story even more fascinating is how many of these treasures go unnoticed. Think about how many quarters pass through our hands every week. We feed them into parking meters, vending machines, and laundromats without a second thought. And yet, hiding among them could be an error coin that changes someone's life. Imagine being the person who pulls a 1994 quarter from a roll at the bank, looks at it closely, and realizes something is off. Maybe it's lighter than usual, maybe the design doesn't look quite right, or maybe the strike is obviously misaligned. That moment of realization, the sudden awareness that a simple coin could be worth up to $125,500, is electrifying. The stories of discoveries fuel the passion of collectors everywhere. People have stumbled upon these coins in coin jars passed down from relatives, in change from a store, or in collections they barely paid attention to. The idea that a small, overlooked detail could transform an ordinary coin into a treasure keeps collectors searching, examining, and learning. It's the thrill of the hunt, the chase for something extraordinary in the most ordinary of places. And it's not just the rarity or the price that makes these coins special. They're pieces of history, snapshots of a moment when human error intersected with industrial precision. The mint strives for perfection, and most of the time it succeeds. But when mistakes happen, they create coins that defy expectations, coins that tell stories about the processes, the machines, and the people behind them. A 1994 quarter error isn't just valuable. It's a conversation piece, a curiosity, a fragment of American history that slipped through the cracks. For collectors, owning one is like holding lightning in a bottle. It's the knowledge that no matter how many quarters were minted in 1994, millions upon millions, very few bear the unique characteristics of these errors. And scarcity drives desire. With only a handful of high-value errors known to exist, demand far outstrips supply, which is why prices continue to rise. A quarter you could have once spent on a gumball can now buy you a new car. Or in some cases, a new house. So what should you do if you come across a 1994 quarter that looks unusual? The first step is not to dismiss it. Keep it, examine it, and compare it to known examples of error coins. If it appears to have an off-center strike, doubling, broad striking, or seems to be on the wrong planchet, you could be onto something big. Next, have it authenticated and graded by a reputable service like PCGS or NGC. Their certification not only confirms the error but also locks in the value for collectors and investors. That piece of paper, that seal of authenticity, can make the difference between a curiosity and a six-figure treasure. And let's not forget the emotional side of this. Finding a valuable coin isn't just about the money. It's about the excitement, the sense of discovery, the idea that the world still holds secrets waiting to be uncovered. It's about telling your friends and family that you found a quarter worth $125,500, watching their jaws drop, and knowing that you've experienced something truly extraordinary. It's about being part of a community of collectors who celebrate not just wealth, but history, artistry, and the sheer wonder of chance. The 1994 Washington quarter error coins remind us that treasures aren't always buried deep underground or locked away in vaults. Sometimes they're hiding in plain sight, in the most ordinary of places, waiting for someone with curiosity and attention to detail to find them. They teach us to look closer, to value the small things, and to remember that even the tiniest details can change everything. So the next time you get change back from a cashier or crack open a roll of quarters from the bank, don't just toss them aside. Take a closer look. You never know when that simple coin in your hand could be the one that transforms your life. Because somewhere out there, A handful of 1994 Washington quarters are worth not 25 cents, but an astonishing $50,000 to $125,500. And if you're lucky enough to find one, that little silver coin could become the most valuable discovery you've ever made. The 1997 Washington quarter-dollar coin might seem like just another piece of everyday change, the kind you receive back from a cashier or toss into a parking meter without a second thought. For most people, a quarter is simply a useful coin worth 25 cents. But for coin collectors and enthusiasts, certain 1997 quarters are far from ordinary. They hold hidden secrets, minting errors that have transformed a simple piece of circulating currency into a collector's dream. Some of these coins, when authenticated and preserved in excellent condition, have sold for jaw-dropping amounts. Depending on the type of error and its rarity, a 1997 Washington quarter-dollar coin with the right flaw can be valued anywhere between $40,000 and $116,500, a price range that shocks anyone hearing it for the first time. How could a coin most people ignore be worth as much as a luxury car or even a house? The answer lies in the fascinating world of minting errors, rarity, and the passion of collectors who see treasure where others see pocket change. To understand why a 1997 quarter could ever achieve such a remarkable price, we first need to revisit the coin itself. The Washington quarter had been a staple of American currency since 1932, when it was first introduced to commemorate George Washington's 200th birthday. By 1997, the quarter had already become an iconic symbol of American coinage, widely recognized by nearly everyone in the country. The obverse design still carried the portrait of Washington, a strong yet dignified profile that represented the first president's leadership and legacy. The reverse, at that time, still displayed the heraldic eagle with its wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches, a design that had defined the quarter for decades. Billions of these coins were produced over the years, making them extremely common. Yet, it is within that massive scale of production that rare mistakes occurred, mistakes that make some coins incredibly valuable today. Error coins from 1997 exist in several categories, and each type tells its own story. One of the most coveted among collectors is the double die error. This happens when the coin is struck more than once with slightly misaligned dies, creating a doubling effect on the design elements. When doubling is strong and visible, especially on key areas like the motto "In God We Trust," the word "liberty," or even the date itself, the error becomes unmistakable and instantly valuable. Imagine pulling out a 1997 quarter and noticing that the letters looked shadowed or doubled. That's not just a curiosity. It could be the difference between pocket change and a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars. In fact, examples of such double die errors in mint state condition are exactly the type of pieces that can command prices soaring into that $40,000 to $116,500 range. Another striking and valuable category of errors is the off-center strike. In the fast-paced production of coins, if the blank planchet is not perfectly aligned when it is struck by the dies, part of the design lands off the intended surface, leaving the coin with a blank crescent and a partial design. These off-center strikes vary in degree, with mild cases showing only slight shifts and dramatic ones leaving nearly half of the coin blank. Collectors prize the most extreme versions, especially when the date remains clearly visible, because that helps confirm authenticity. For a 1997 quarter with a dramatic off-center strike, the value can skyrocket. A coin like that in mint state condition could easily command auction results in the tens of thousands, making it one of the highlights of any collection. Wrong planchet errors also stand out as some of the most fascinating. A wrong planchet error occurs when a coin is mistakenly struck on a blank meant for a different denomination. Imagine a quarter struck on a dime-sized planchet, smaller and lighter, with parts of the design cut off due to the size mismatch. Or even more unusual, a quarter struck on a foreign coin blank. These coins are incredibly rare because they reveal a very specific kind of mistake in the minting process, and collectors love them precisely for their rarity and uniqueness. A 1997 Washington quarter error struck on the wrong planchet, particularly if certified by a grading service and kept in pristine condition, could easily fall within that eye-catching $40,000 to $116,500 price range. There are also broad strike errors, where the coin is struck without the collar that normally keeps the metal confined. This results in a coin that spreads outward, appearing wider and flatter than a typical quarter. For seasoned collectors, such coins are instantly recognizable and highly desirable. Broad strike errors from 1997, when found in mint state, represent the kind of oddities that auction houses love to showcase, often drawing competitive bidding that pushes prices to levels far beyond what casual observers would ever expect from a coin worth only 25 cents in everyday commerce. Part of the fascination with the 1997 quarter error coins is not just the type of mistake but the sheer improbability of finding one. With billions of quarters minted that year, the odds of pulling an error coin from circulation are astronomically low. And yet, they exist, slipping past quality control at the U.S. Mint, entering circulation, and sometimes lying unnoticed in change jars for decades. Stories of ordinary people stumbling upon one of these rare coins add to the allure. Imagine the excitement of a collector or even an unknowing individual discovering that a simple 1997 quarter tucked away in a drawer could be worth tens of thousands. That shock, that element of surprise, is one of the reasons these coins command so much attention and value. Condition plays a critical role in determining how high the price climbs. A heavily circulated 1997 quarter with an error might still intrigue collectors but won't fetch life-changing money. It's when these coins are preserved in pristine or near-mint condition that they truly shine. Professional grading services like PCGS and NGC authenticate these coins, assign them a grade, and encapsulate them in protective holders. Once a coin is certified as genuine and graded highly, it becomes a blue-chip item for collectors, often entering into prestigious collections or high-profile auctions. A 1997 quarter error graded in mint state can easily command prices within that staggering $40,000 to $116,500 bracket, proving that condition can make all the difference. To put things in perspective, think about how many 1997 quarters you've seen over the years. They pass through your hands at gas stations, vending machines, and grocery stores. Most people wouldn't even glance at them twice. Yet hidden within that massive population of common coins could be one of the rarest and most valuable error quarters of the modern era. The idea that a coin worth 25 cents could actually be worth as much as $116,500 turns the ordinary into something extraordinary. It sparks curiosity, imagination, and the thrill of possibility. The year 1997 was significant in another way. It marked the end of an era for the Washington quarter's heraldic eagle design. Just 2 years later, in 1999, the U.S. Mint launched the highly popular state quarters program, which would forever change the appearance of the quarter and usher in a new era of collecting. For that reason, the 1997 quarter stands as one of the final representatives of the old design, and when paired with minting errors, it becomes a tangible piece of numismatic history. Collectors view it as both a relic of the past and a rare anomaly of minting craftsmanship, increasing its appeal. Every coin has a story, and the story of the 1997 Washington quarter error is one of luck, rarity, and unexpected fortune. It is a coin that proves that treasures still hide in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by those who take a closer look. For collectors, the dream of finding one keeps the hobby alive and exciting. For those lucky enough to own one, the coin is not just a piece of metal but a life-changing discovery. So, the next time you receive a quarter in your change, especially one minted in 1997, take a moment to examine it closely. Look at the date, the lettering, the strike. Is there doubling? Is the design off-center? Does the coin seem oddly shaped or struck on a smaller or larger planchet? These details could mean the difference between ordinary pocket change and a collector's item worth anywhere between $40,000 and $116,500. That kind of discovery doesn't happen every day, but it does happen, and it could happen to anyone. The lesson of the 1997 quarter is clear. Value is not always obvious. Sometimes, it hides in the most ordinary objects, waiting for someone with curiosity and a keen eye to recognize it. That's what makes these coins so fascinating, so thrilling, and so incredibly valuable. A simple quarter, dismissed by millions, has the power to change someone's life if it carries the right kind of minting error. And that is the enduring magic of numismatics, the endless possibility that the next coin you examine might just be the one worth a fortune.